Dean Rathwell is the General Manager for Digital Banking at Celero. Dean?
Thanks, Varnet. I'm here to talk today about where Celero's Banking Transformation Council is at with respect to our digital banking RFP that we began in July of last year. So I want to provide the folks on the call today with an update on where our journey has come from and where we sit today and where we expect to be with this activity over the course of the next 30 to 90 days. And so for those folks on the call that are from credit unions that are part of the Banking Transformation Council constituency, some of this information will be a bit of a rehash, and for those that are in other jurisdictions, hopefully this gives you a bit of an overview as to why the exercise was undertaken and where we sit. And so in July of last year, our Banking Transformation Client Council directed Celero to undertake a digital banking RFP on their behalf. And there's a number of reasons why the committee wanted us to do that. Most importantly was to ensure that they were assessing the market to understand what options were available to them and that we were bringing forth the best possible solution for the credit unions to deliver the member experience that they're looking for through the digital channels, create the platform and capability to innovate with speed, have a level of control over that platform as well. And I would also say that it was also seen as a fiduciary responsibility on the part of the credit unions to ensure that the solution that would go forth is ultimately the right one. And so we began that activity in July of last year by engaging with a third party known as Crow LLB out of the United States, who was actually our consultant who ran the RFP for the Banking Transformation Council. And I'll ask just to flip to the next slide, please. And so we cast our net quite wide. We reached out to, well, 37, I would say, global digital banking vendors to ask for their participation in the RFP exercise. When we took a look at these 37 vendors, some met all of the or most of the 300 plus criteria that were put into the RFP exercise, and some did not, and so some fell off early on in the process. But we received responses from 12 vendors that I would suggest stretch from across the globe and sit, some of them, in Gartner's Magic Quadrant for digital banking services. The subcommittee of the Banking Transformation Council was formed and was really the group that of credit unions who led the activity with the RFP in terms of getting to a short list and ultimately a vendor that is our vendor finalist. And so we started with 37. We did demos with 9 potential vendors, and then deep due diligence with 4 finalists, landing on eBankit Omnichannel Innovation as the vendor finalist for next steps that we're undertaking right now with that particular vendor. What has been most enlightening by this is just certainly the depth and breadth of solutions that were out there and the quality of solutions that are out there. inclusive of Central One's Forge platform, the Backbase platform, and others. Where we sit today with this initiative is the subcommittee is under a process by which we're completing our final due diligence, and really this rests on a few things. One, ensuring that the eBankit solution can deliver what they proclaim to deliver through a proof of concept that we're running. We're working through what a potential stand-up program could look like, whether there is in fact an opportunity to complete an agreement to provide this solution to credit unions, and finally that there is a viable business case behind it. So this is the activity that began in earnest, I would suggest, in late January, and we're in the middle of that right now, and we're expecting it to conclude within the next, I would say, 30 to 45 days, and then we'll be proceeding with further information to credit unions on the results of that exercise. And maybe I'll ask to flip to the next slide. And so some of you may be wondering about, well, what does a potential move to the eBankit solution mean for Celero's current support services as it relates to Member Direct? And the very short answer to that question is there will be no change in services. We continue to provide services for credit unions on Member Direct, and we will do so for the foreseeable future, and we are working with Central One to ensure that that support can be continued. And I think one of the other big questions is that if the eBankit platform goes forward, there will obviously be choice in the market, and for those credit unions that are on DNA and seek to move forward with the Forge platform, how will that unfold, and what will Celero support services look like? And what I can say categorically is that there will absolutely be a connector from DNA into the Forge solution through Celero's ESB, and that we will provide at minimum a level of assurance on that platform so that credit unions and their members can enjoy that solution if that is the solution the credit union chooses. And so we're moving forward on multiple fronts, not only to determine a path with eBankit, but also to ensure continuity of services for Member Direct, and to work with Central One to determine how we can move forward with a path to ensure, at the very least, connectivity and support for the Forge platform. So in the next few weeks, I think credit unions can look forward to more information about the results, the final results of the RFP, and the various next steps as it relates to that. And we would expect that will help credit unions under the Banking Transformation Council umbrella to go forth and make their decisions on their chosen platform. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Natasha Tracy, who's our product manager for digital banking, to provide some information regarding some pertinent Member Direct features that we think credit unions need to continue to consider and move forward with.
Thank you, Dean. Good afternoon. So digital banking is an important channel. I know I'm stating the obvious there, but it is something that the credit unions continually use to communicate and provide services for their credit unions, for their members. So even though, as Dean mentioned, there are various initiatives that are in progress with digital banking, with Central One, with our BTC credit unions, but the services that you provide to your members through this channel doesn't stop. So even though you don't see a similar roadmap, as the previous folks had talked about earlier in this call. As you could appreciate, there's a few moving parts. So we know that Central One has a roadmap that's specific to Forge. We're working together to find out, what would the roadmap would look like for a potential partnership with eBankit. But these are the 4 items of features, key features that we wanted to highlight, that there would be something of importance here for your members. As you're aware, the Interact e-Transfer enhancement user feature it is something that Central One and Celero have been working through to implement and sort of progress through the queue for those credit unions that have e-transfers enabled. So there's 4 there. If you do have that feature enabled and is live, you are placed in a sequential implementation process queue that we're working with our credit unions. Enhanced Strong Pack. So as you're aware, with all the security breaches that the credit unions has experienced, and some of the information that's flowing out there over the last little while, a number of cyber security features have been highlighted and strongly encouraged by Central One and Celero for credit unions to implement. Enhanced Strong Pack, as well as the Pack Reset, are a couple of those features, allowing members to strengthen their login, because that is the one thing that the bad guys out there using error codes that are trying to target the logins and the weaker passwords. So those are highly encouraged. Central One has done a great job in communicating and posting the details of various cybersecurity features that Member Direct offers, as well as a number of partnerships that they have established with various standard security standard companies out there to address the security concerns that are in front of us here. I do encourage you to visit Central One Security site for more information and suggestions on how to, more information on specifically on those features, as well as the necessary steps to implement them. The mobile wallet features is something that's worth mentioning here as well. As we know, and I'm sure if you're tracking the transactions, for those who have implemented Apple Pay, those have been growing over the last several months since Apple Pay, as an example, has been in production and available in Canada. CCUA would be your main point of contact for this to initiate this feature. They are working on certification of Samsung Pay and Google Pay as well. So expect more information on those features coming from CCUA.